President Biden's meeting with congressional leaders is now over. What will happen in the coming weeks before a possible default? For more, let's bring in former Texas Republican Congressman Will Hurd. Good to see you.
Hey, Major, it's great to be with you, man.
So, if you were in the House Republican conference right now, would you be standing foursquare with Speaker McCarthy in this default showdown with the president?
Well, I don't think we should have a showdown, but McCarthy is right. You know, the House has passed a piece of legislation to move, and the conversations around what should be done we should have been having this more than just 2 weeks before we probably hit the debt ceiling. Unfortunately, in Washington, D.C., things only get done at the very last minute. And so this is the usual brinkmanship that needs to happen. But a bunch of things can be true at the same time. We can't default on our debt. Like this would be disastrous to our economy. It would have greater implications around the world. The Chinese government would try to take advantage of this and try to get more people to stop doing trading in the dollar because they would use this to say that you can't trust the Americans. And we should also be, reducing our debt and the deficit. We can't be spending $1.5 trillion more than we're taking in, and we should be able to address all those things at the same time. But it's a requirement of our leaders coming together and coming up with solutions on doing that. And this dialogue needs to continue. And I hope they meet every single day between now and the debt ceiling gets increased.
Congressman, when you were in the body, you spent a lot of time focused on immigration, not just as a practical matter, but because it was important to your constituents. Title 42, a health care measure imposed by the Trump administration and kept by the Biden administration as a border control piece of policy, expires Thursday. What do you expect to happen after that date? And how would you describe the current situation in your state?
Well, the current situation is a crisis, and it's been that way since the last administration, and it's gotten worse under this administration. Another terrible policy that President Biden continued from the previous administration, the Trump administration, was treating everybody that comes into the country as an asylum seeker. Not everybody qualifies for asylum. Being approved for asylum requires you to be part of a protected class, and your government has to show, you have to prove that your government is persecuting you because you're part of that protected class. Treating everybody as an asylum seeker is what has led to 6.5 million people coming into our country illegally since Joe Biden came into office. It's a crisis. It's impacting our communities. It's impacting philanthropic organizations that are taking care of all these folks that are now in our care. And this is only going to get worse. When you look at what the human smugglers are doing, human smugglers are using this as an advertisement to say, hey, now's the time to come to America. And so we're going to see an increase, I think, like we've never seen before. And unfortunately, this administration is not prepared for this increase. And there are things that the administration and this Department of Homeland Security can be doing right now without Congress in order to address this crisis. And unfortunately, they're not doing them.
The governor of your state has referred many times in the aftermath of mass shootings in Texas to the need to address mental health. It has become his most frequently cited defense of not dealing with access to guns in any restrictive way. Are you comfortable with that approach? And do you believe, Congressman Hurd, that mental health is the only question that looms large over mass shootings in America, specifically those in Texas?
Well, look, we know the metamorphosis of a mass murderer, right? And mental health is one of them, but also access to weapons is another. This is why I think we should have universal background checks. This is why we should raise the age of purchasing long guns to 21, which it is to buy a handgun. We have to address the mental health issue as well. We know a lot of these mass murderers had some childhood trauma. We know there's some triggering events. We also need to make sure that law enforcement is prepared if all these other things fail to happen. Look, I had an A rating from the NRA when I was in Congress. But I also listen to groups like Moms Demand Action, and the fact that half of our teenagers in the United States of America are afraid to go to school because they're worried about getting shot is crazy, and it's something that we shouldn't accept. And so there's no one solution that would have solved or prevented what happened in Allen, Texas a couple of days ago, which would have prevented Uvalde or El Paso a number of years ago, or Sutherland Springs. But we should be actively doing a number of issues, and it's everything like I just outlined, in order to deal with this crisis, because our parents shouldn't be mourning the death of their children, and we should be doing everything we can. And again, this is why we elect officials, and we elect them to solve problems and to work together and to compromise and bring things forward, not just give hollow words.
Two-part question before I let you go, former Congressman Hurd. One, any reaction to the civil verdict against former President Trump in Manhattan today? And how seriously are you considering a run for the Republican nomination in 2024?
Sure. Look, America's better than this. We can't have a convicted sex abuser, someone that we know lost. Donald Trump had lost the House in 2018. He lost the Senate and the White House in 2020. He prevented a red wave from coming in 2022. You add more baggage to him with being now a convicted sex abuser. America's better than this. The Republican Party is better than this. And if we're going to make sure that this century continues to be an American century, we need leaders that are going to be able to win in November. And unfortunately, that's not going to be Donald Trump. And Major, I will say about my future, I've been lucky to serve my country in a number of ways, whether it was overseas as a CIA officer or to represent my hometown in Congress. If there's ways for me to serve my country again, I'm going to keep those options open.
Fair to say you're considering it.
I'm considering a number of options in order to serve my country. That's for sure.
Former Congressman Will Hurd, thanks so very much.
Thanks, Major.